Hi, everyone. Happy President's Day. We're so excited for tonight's get together. We are sisters, Amy and Nancy Harrington, and we're the founders of the Passionistas project. We've created an inclusive sisterhood where passion-driven women come to get support, find their purpose, and feel empowered to transform their lives and change the world. Today, we're talking with the candidates for the Labor Solidarity Slate for the Los Angeles Democratic Central Committee, Assembly District 44. We're happy to be endorsing the entire slate. They're all seeking your vote by Super Tuesday on March 5th, 2024. If you're joining us here live today, either in our community or on Facebook, please feel free to drop any comments or questions in the chat, and we'll do our best to get them answered. And since there are so many of us here, what we're going to do is we're going to start by going around and letting each of you introduce yourselves and tell us why you're so passionate about being involved in politics. And let's start with Annalisa, who is actually a member of the Passionistas community and has been so supportive. We're thrilled to be endorsing her and this slate. So hi, Annalisa.
Hi, good evening, Amy and Nancy. Thank you so much for everything that you're doing. I'm so excited to be part of the sisterhood and to see all the things that you've been doing, and proud to be part of it. I'm running because I love helping elect great Democratic candidates up and down the ballot. I love fighting for progressive policies. By day, I'm an attorney representing injured workers and for California workers' compensation, and very involved in the labor movement. So I love helping people and I love being present, talking to voters, doing the work, showing up and being present and making a difference. I'll turn it over because I know we have a lot of people and I want to make sure we all have an opportunity to speak, but it's just an honor to be here, and thank you so much for endorsing us. I'm so proud and so excited for everything that you're doing.
Okay, who wants to go next?
How about Bonnie?
Okay, yes, I would love to go next. My name is Bonnie Shatton, and I am a public school teacher, a retired public school teacher. I've taught first, second, and third grade in Burbank Unified for 40 years. And I have been passionate about being active in politics, or electing good people, actually, since I was in college. And I remember a precinct walking on a presidential election before I could even vote. And I have been volunteering in probably almost every election, either for candidates that I thought were wonderful or ballot measures since that time. I think it's very important for us all to be active and really have some ability to change the way things are happening. And being a public school teacher probably influences the causes that I care about. I look at how things affect the children in my classroom, even though I'm not still on a classroom, except for when I get to volunteer, which I really still enjoy doing. Everything affects them. The issues that are important to me are public education and things that affect my students. And public education is really under assault at this time. We can't stand by and let it be threatened. And then, of course, I'm sure we're all passionate about protecting our democracy. So everything that I care about, such as, gun laws, teaching history the way it really happened, protecting the rights of all students, the economy, healthcare, that all affects my students. And I think those are all reasons why I choose to be active. And thank you so much, both of you, for giving us an opportunity to come here.
Absolutely, our pleasure. How about Joyce?
Oh, I'll try to keep this brief. I started in politics and my passion when I was even in high school, but I was in Southern Illinois, and sometimes I would drive 25 miles just to get one vote or to sit down and talk with a family and share a candidate that I was passionate about and thought would represent Southern Illinois very well. But I've been active in politics in the state of Illinois, working for the governor, and then in Chicago, working in a large area in politics. I was queen of the high rises when I used to go to 42-story buildings and flyer all the floors and try not to disturb the dogs from barking and bothering their neighborhoods. But when I moved to Los Angeles, I was going to a lot of political events, but not really devoted to one group. And in 1992, the year of the woman, that was my year. I joined, Kathleen Brown was running for governor, and Barbara Boxer and Dianne Feinstein. And I went to a wonderful political caucus and helped form a Democratic club, Democrats for Israel LA, because they said they needed more Jewish involvement in the state party. And that's when I first ran for county committee. So that's my passion. And I covered lots of bases, which we can get into a little bit later when I share more of my story.
Excellent. Let's go to Alton next.
Thank you first for letting us be here today and talk to your large audience in many assembly districts. I'm a U.S. Army veteran for 3 years. I am a Communication Workers of America union representative, and I'm proud to be the delegation chair of this experienced labor coalition thing and work with these people moving our party platform forward. LA County Democratic Party is the largest Democratic party in the nation. We represent 43 different assembly districts with over 300 delegates, where we meet quarterly, where we meet monthly to set policy. And I found out as a union representative, legislators with a stroke of a pen can change our collective bargaining contract. So of course we have to be involved. And I know when the Democratic Party and the labor movement work together, we win together. So thank you for letting us be here.
That's excellent. Now let's go to Carolyn.
Hi, I'm Carolyn Hoffman. Thank you so much for having us tonight. I mean, really, really appreciate it. Well, I have been involved. I probably was passionate about politics. This is a good way my age after Watergate. I was old enough to remember Watergate really well. I felt the incredible sense of betrayal, and I even snuck out of junior high to go to a Carter headquarters. I still have the buttons for Carter Mondale, you know. So I really, though, what really spurred me into getting politically involved was the Reagan administration. And I remember reading Backlash by Susan Faludi, and I think that's the name of the author, and really seeing what was going on to all types of rights and under siege, and seeing how I've been working forward since, you know, I was too young to remember the 64 election, but, you know, there's been plans in place. So I got very involved. Probably somewhere on the 1992 Clinton presidential campaign, started volunteering, used to go and sit at the Vons on Glendale Boulevard and the 134 on Sundays and talk to a lot of, it's still a pretty red district at that time in that area, and talk to all the Ross Perot supporters, but I've been involved. And then of course, you know, post-Trump, it really made me ramp up the involvement and get involved more with the party. I mean, I knew campaigns but I didn't know, like, how did the party make decisions about what was going on? So I started just going to meetings at the county center committee, and then started showing up. And then I think Joyce needed an alternate, and thank you, Joyce. And then ran for the first time in March 2020. And my goal was really to do outreach, to get the voices in our district, to let them be heard by the party. I had some great plans, and then this little pandemic came along and kind of shut them down. So I'm hoping that I get a chance now to really put those in place and do this year outreach to those who are maybe not members of clubs, but those who are in our district that you can meet through other groups, and really help them understand how they can make a difference, even if it's just outreach to the people they know. Anyway, thank you.
So great. And let's do Shauna.
Well, hi, my name is Shanna Inglesby, and a long story short, I became active in politics because I realized if I didn't vote, then I couldn't complain about the outcome, and I hate giving up an opportunity to complain. So that's in a nutshell. But I come at politics from a different perspective, because I started my activist life in 1992 with Amnesty International. So I've been a human rights activist for a very long time. And I'm also a trained mediator. I'm a former volunteer mediator with the LA County Courts. So I come at politics from a different perspective. I come at it from the perspective of everyone's position needs to be heard and everyone's position needs to be taken into consideration. And that regardless of how different our opinions are, we're all have some common ground to start from. So that's kind of how I approach my activist work. I became an activist back when George W. Bush was pushing to go to war in Iraq. And I felt like I was screaming to an empty room. And I was driving down the road one day in Hollywood. I was on Hollywood Boulevard, about to turn left onto Highland, and I kept seeing this smattering of people with protest signs, no blood for oil. And when I was sitting in the turn lane and I saw that there was a massive protest going on farther down the street, I sat there and started crying in my car, because for the first time I realized that I wasn't alone. So I parked my car and I got out and I picked up a sign and I joined them. So that's kind of how I came into politics. I've held a lot of leadership positions, but my theory is having a leadership position doesn't mean as much as what you do with that position. So I'm always very careful to not take on more than I can handle. And when I agree to do something, I do it all the way. And that's served me well in politics. And my approach to discussing things is everyone's position has value, because if I speak to someone who is on the absolute opposite side of the opinion, there's still things we can agree on, and having to defend my position helps me make my position even stronger. So it verifies that I didn't just read it from a talking point and just recited it. So I find having several different perspectives really helps me form an opinion and defend it, because I'm a woman and I always have an opinion and I'm never shy about sharing it. So I just like it to be an informed one. So that's kind of how I got to where I am now. So, and thank you very much for having us.
Oh, of course, love it. And last but not least, Geraldine.
Well, I guess I really started in '79 when I got involved with the campaign for the Equal Rights Amendment with the National Organization for Women. So I have been involved ever since, and still working on a campaign of the Sign for ERA, which we've got almost 90,000 signatures on that, and doing a mayor's campaign in terms of getting it signed and into the Constitution. That kind of, and of course, I'm still involved on the national board. But that led me to the Peace Alliance in 2005, because one of the 6 core issues of now is ending violence against women. And so that, when I found out that they were trying to create, and still are, as a matter of fact, cabinet level U.S. Department of Peace Building, which would help with ending the violence, or the domestic violence, especially in America, which, as you know, and which is even growing stronger with the violence that's going on. So that led me to being involved in having a table at the Democratic Convention. And then I got involved with the party, and I have been ever since. Joyce was nice enough to let me be her alternate to get going. I had started going to the meetings, like prior to that. Then I found out, oh, these all the electeds have delegates. And so one thing led to another. And so here I am, still working strong on the issues. And then, of course, supporting people running for office that support our values, that are really, really strong on them. I think I've talked enough for now.
Excellent. So I'd like to start by just sort of local politics 101. Can someone just explain what the Los Angeles Democratic Central Committee is and how it sort of works in local politics? What is it that you guys do? What's your role?
I'll jump in if I may. Our role is that we recruit volunteers. We try to find people who will text, phone bank, do postcarding, letter writing, talking to neighbors. We raise money. We register people to vote. We participate in get out the vote activities. We meet monthly with the other 22 assembly districts in LA County where we set policy. The work, though, is often done in committees. We have 18 different committees within the LA County Democratic Party who meet monthly, separate from our policy meeting where all of the coalitions of ideas, where all the listing comes together. Therefore, we adopt the policy. And then we try to lead by example, hence why we're called the Experience Labor Solidarity Slate. We don't think it's an entry level. There are honorable candidates running for this position, but we don't think it's an entry level job. It really takes the experience of people who are involved in politics and involved in a wide range of community activities to make informed decisions.
I'd like to add a little something to that, if I might. We are running for a position that's on a ballot that it says vote for 7. And you always go, who in the heck are these 7 people? So now you know who's running for the 7 positions this year for 44th Assembly District and on the LA County Democratic Central Committee. So it's quite interesting. And we're having a little bit of an issue with ballot placement this year because most people don't know our names appear because the Secretary of State actually puts our names in a hat or puts the alphabet in a hat. And then they pull the 26 initials or letters out. And that's how we then receive our ballot placement. And for this particular election, there are different ballots in different precincts in different areas. So for example, Alton and I are on the back page, so to speak. And so we are continued on another page. And so the first page has 7 and the second page has 3. So it's going to be very interesting how ballot placement affects the race this time.
Isn't it more democratic just to go alphabetically? Seems like. Yes, Carolyn, what did you want to add?
A little bit about what we do too, just to kind of explain on the Central Committee, because really important, some of the important decisions we make are what candidates that we will be and the party should endorse. And so those decisions are really important. And of course, what legislation we should also endorse. And then even maybe more important sometimes is or equally important is resolutions that get put forward. What resolutions? And that really is a message. Resolution is something that is of value to us or something that a goal or value we want the party to recognize and our electeds to recognize so they can put legislation together. And that's why I think it's really important for Central Committee members to get out there into the community. This district is majority Democrat. I think we're 50% over age 55. We need to be going out and finding out what's important to our district, what legislation and candidates our candidates we think really reflect that. And so that is something that's really important for the Central Committee and some of our key goals. And through meeting people, you do find people to volunteer and to get involved, and you'll find people who are really motivated. And hopefully sometimes even better to get out beyond just the clubs that are out that we're all members of and to people just through other activities, like Alton said, that you get to know people and encourage them to hear what they have to say.
That's fantastic. Bonnie, what did you want to add?
Well, I agree with what everyone has said so far, but I think the most important thing that we need to do is be in touch with the communities that we represent. They need to know what we're doing and what we're recommending and how we came to these decisions, the process at county committee or at our committee meetings, but also we need to listen to their point of views so that we know what's happening in these communities. There are 11 cities that we represent on county committee, and we need to know what's happening there and what their needs are and what their opinions are so that we can make informed decisions. But the most important thing we do, I think we've all mentioned this, is make sure that outstanding candidates are elected. I'm on the committee for the county central committee. We interview candidates for city council, school board, judges, etc. And the selection is important, but once we have those outstanding people that have the official endorsement of the Democratic Party, we all need to be where the rubber hits the road. And so just in this last week, there are people here who I phone banked with, who I walked precincts with. There are some very important elections, probably the #1 target for Los Angeles County as far as the congressional district is CD 27. We need to elect George Whitesides. The person who was there co-wrote the federal bill that will take away a woman's right to choose. We cannot let that happen in our county. So we're volunteering. Over the weekend, we walked for George Whitesides. There's a very important city council race. Serena Oberstein is running in CD 12. We're going to phone bank for her. And we each have our own self-given assignments as to which of these, but we are so very lucky to live in California and to live in Los Angeles County and have the outstanding elected officials that we have. So I think the reason we've gotten so many endorsements by elected officials and party officials is because they know us, they see us as doing the work. But we're inviting everybody to come and participate in the work. This year, we've all said this, I'm sure in the past, is our most important election of all time. This year, it probably really is. So we want to encourage participation.
Most definitely, and we appreciate that. Annalisa, what did you want to add?
Just to sort of springboard on what Bonnie and others have said, we're the visible face of the Los Angeles County Democratic Party. So you're electing people who are going to be out in the community. You're also, representation matters. Like I'm a member of the LGBTQIA+ community. So you're electing people who are going to be bringing their perspectives and lived experiences to the table when it comes to endorsements and resolutions and legislation. And just, you know, connecting in the community. Like I kind of almost think of it as like our democratic family and sort of like a sisterhood of making those connections with people in the community and voters and just doing the work that needs to be done. Like you're also electing people who are going to show up and do the work, not like be absent. You know, they're really caring about this work. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so proud to be working with this group of experienced activists and leaders in our party. Thank you.
Geraldine, what did you want to say?
Oh, I just wanted to add, I think Shauna was before me, but yeah, I think all of us here, we all participate in the committees. It's just not the once a month meeting. Some people will get themselves elected and that's it. They don't show up. They'll get appointed to committees, but they don't show up. One of the committees, I work on several, but one of the main ones I've been on for a long time is legislation, which is to me really, really important in bringing forth policies that will be of value to everyone that lives in our district, if not local, but you know, state and federal as well. So Shanna, in fact, both of us work on the anti-harassment committee. Was thankful we haven't had to meet in the last year. Yes, fingers crossed. Yeah. So I just wanted to add that all of us are very, very active. Alton on the labor committee and Bonnie on the interview committee. So we're a good, well-rounded group here in terms of servicing as much as we can. So we're not just there just to run for the title, we're there to do the work.
Well,
And if I can piggyback on that, I think that's the reason I wear bangs, so you can't see the word sucker on my forehead. But to take a bigger perspective, like Alton said, the LA County Central Committee is the largest central committee in the country. Not only that, but we are probably the most diverse as well. And so one of the things that the Central Committee does is it brings every single assembly district, representatives from these assembly districts together to discuss what we should stand for. And because we reach agreement or consensus, that it makes our voices so much stronger, because it's not just one person. You know, it's not just one person sitting in that turn lane, turning left onto Highland. We're one of many. And the purpose that we serve is we not only do endorsements for candidates running at the statewide level and the federal level, but we also do in our own assembly districts, we have what we call caucus, district level caucuses, where we endorse city council and school board and water board and all those that come to the state party, the county committee as well. So it really just increases it. So for that average voter who doesn't have the time or the interest or the resources to be able to stay current with everything that's going on, but they want to be an informed voter, what we do is, because we do the interviews, we do the work, and we do the investigation down to the assembly local level, then we are a resource that they can say, I don't have the time to do this, but I know who does. So let me see what LACDP is saying, because it's an informed opinion, and it helps each voter become a more informed voter. And the more informed you are, the better choices you're going to make, the more successes we're going to have, and the better chance that we're going to have to undo the current political environment that we're unfortunately living in right now. So it's a huge, huge thing that even one person can have a serious effect.
And Joyce, did you want to add something?
Just quickly, I wanted to say that as an elected member of the county committee, then you also become eligible to be a member of the state party. And there are conventions held, and through that we're very educated about what we should be doing and sharing what's going on within the party. And so we can go to caucuses like senior caucus or children's caucus or women's caucus. You can go to so many caucuses at these conventions where you can gather information and know and meet people from around the state, so that you're somewhat unified and somewhat challenged at the same thing. And then if you want to, you can go on further to become a national delegate to the DNC. I've been a representative at 5 national conventions, and those are fabulous learning opportunities to learn skills, to bring back, to hear very important people speak and lecture, and you have access to them. And then you can come back and share them with your community, what you've learned. And also, I wanted to point out, at different cycles, we perform a little bit of a different role. This is in our most active period because we have a major election coming up. And so we're doing as much get out the vote. We're doing as much, as you heard, all the grassroots activists, and trying to get new elected young people. I particularly enjoy going on college campuses and trying to recruit new voters. And I think I have a role because of to mentor people. So I think our opportunities to mentor and get more people involved really plays a great role in this. And all of us, as you can see, are equally qualified and passionate about what we do in the community to help unify everyone and for the best results for our communities.
And if I can piggyback on that for just one brief second, Joyce is correct that like, as a member of the LA County Democratic Party, I am a delegate to the state party as well, and I happen to be co-chair of the state platform committee. And so not only is LA County Committee very influential, but the state party is one of the most influential in the country as well. And in fact, large portions of our platform have been adopted by the Democratic National Committee. So I'm not even going to complain that they're stealing our work, because it's that good. But that just kind of builds on the level of influence that comes all the way down to each individual person serving on county committee. So it's a huge, huge, big picture.
in the last 8 years or so, 6 years, how important local politics are. Not just on the level that you are all working, but just all the other offices locally. But for people who don't know, can you talk a little bit about why the local elections are just as important, if not more important, than these high-level national elections are? Yeah, go ahead, Geraldine.
Yeah, because of the fact, Bonnie kind of touched on this a little bit about what's going on with the school boards locally. And more often than not, people, that's where they start is on like a local community college, LAUSD, you name it, in terms of getting going in terms of an elected position, that oftentimes then they springboard from that into a state elected position and or a federal election. So it's extremely important, especially this year, in terms of what's going on with the school board elections. I think Bonnie will agree with me on that, because the GOP has a huge investment in terms of disturbing what's been going on at the school boards, and in terms of the LGBTQIA+ plus community. Glendale and Burbank both had some horrendous activities going on. So the GOP is doing a concerted effort in terms of getting their like-minded folks, like the ones that want to ban the books and stipulate in terms of not teaching certain types of history, so on and so forth. They're trying to get those folks elected to the school board. So that to me is probably the most important thing going on this year in this election. But in every election, the local positions are important. I'll turn it over to Annalisa.
Just to sort of piggyback on what Geraldine's saying, I mean, a lot of these policies that we deal with are developed at the local level. So a lot of it's like the city council level, like things from tenants' rights, which I think Shanna will speak about as a commissioner. Ordinances for like banning single-use plastics, environmental, combating the climate crisis at the local level, rent control, all of those things, a lot of that starts at the local level. You hear all politics are local. And so everything from your water board to your school board to your city council, like all of those things impact your daily life. And also the judges. People are like, who are all the judges? Well, the judges also have a big impact. So really we need to be informed. And so that's a lot of our work with Los Angeles County Central Committee, is being super informed on those issues and then taking that information to voters and making sure everyone's participating in the process to make the best decision, and that we're making the best endorsements at the central committee level. Thank you.
And I always say that the person sitting on your city council affects your day-to-day life much more so than the person sitting in the White House. And we really learned that in great detail during COVID. When everything was shut down, it was the city councils that came up with the ordinance and the safety procedures. And it was the city council that came up with the eviction moratoriums so that nobody was kicked out of their house because they couldn't afford the rent. And it's more recently, it's the Burbank City Council that responded to these mass evictions that are going on right now in Burbank and in Santa Monica and in Pasadena, where there are a lot of, and I'm chair of the Landlord Tenant Commission, which is why I know this. And when you've got, half of a complex or an entire complex of people that are being evicted, it was the city council that came in and offered additional funds to help with relocation fees. It's the city council that came in and said, this is not appropriate. We need to come up with a plan to protect these people. So local elections are very, very important, not just because of what was said about how there a lot of national elections, they start at the local level, but it's really how you learn how to figure out what people need, and you are on the front lines as far as providing it. So local is very, very important.
I will say, like, hero pay that was passed for workers, like, that's city council. So having like a progressive city council that's going to fight for workers, fight for women's rights and the environment, that all starts at the local level.
But it's also keeping the lights on, right? I mean, I think, who do you call, and homeless problems? I mean, it's the local in the county, and it's really where you're going to start. If the street lights are out, if you're having issues with garbage collecting, all of that. I mean, that really, I think Shauna said, day-to-day life, really, the local politicians are going to have a lot, our local electeds are going to have a lot of influence on what your life is like every day.
Yep.
Excellent. Let's go around and just maybe tell us one or two of your top priority issues that are really important to you this year in this election cycle. I'm going to start with Shanna because she's at the top.
I'm at the top of someone's list. Yay. Well, I have been a pro-choice activist almost my entire adult life. So with the Dobbs decision coming down, that is a very huge priority for me. I'm also avid gun violence prevention advocate. I really pushed to get a gun violence prevention plank in the state platform. And I've focused on it very intently to make sure that everything is considered, including banning ghost guns, which are guns that are made out of a 3D printer, and preventing straw purchases. And we're looking at things that are becoming an issue, but most people don't consider it an issue. So I'd say pro-choice and gun violence are my two primary issues. I'm also a huge advocate for the environment. My niece was 15 years old when she filed a lawsuit against the state or the federal government because they weren't pursuing their climate control procedures, and she was part of the Youth versus Gov, and they just got a hearing with the Supreme Court. So I have a very strong environmental background with my brother and his family. So I realized that we can't abuse the one thing that we can't recycle. So I really am looking forward to moving from a climate crisis to a climate recovery. So that's a very important issue in my life. And I come from a family of teachers. So education you can't advance your society if no one can afford to go to college. I've been pushing for a long time to have community college included in the K through 12 system so that we could get free tuition, because not everyone's up for a 4-year university. And some skills like CAD design and architecture, you can learn in a 2-year university and still make an impact. And we need to stop looking at that as high schools with ashtrays. They're a very important part of our society, of our function. And so I'm very active in trying to push to continue to get free tuition for that. So, everything else, of course, as well, but those are the main things that come to the top of my mind.
All right, let's go to Alton.
Well, I'm not a single issue guy. When I'm knocking on the doors and talking to the neighbors and trying to get a conversation going, we come with recommendations based upon our learned experiences and knowledge. I kind of remind them, you got your God, you got your guns, you got your environmental issues. What's important to you as a working family? What's going to ring your bell? We're going to make recommendations, and you're going to be urged to vote. The operative word is urged to vote. Only the last general election, only 43% of registered voters cast a ballot. There's an issue. We've seen on a local level too many races won and lost by just 300 or 400 votes in an assembly district, in a school board election. So trying to encourage people to vote in the apathy, clear out the misbeliefs, are kind of what I see as the single issues. Because again, labor issues are the democratic issues, working families are the backbone of the Democratic Party. So I don't have one, but those are my passions this year to try to end the apathy. While I come from Washington, D.C., it's like Chicago. I vote 10 times in every election. I vote for myself, vote for my neighbors, vote for my cousins. I give them recommendations. So yes, every vote does make a difference, and we really need to urge people to vote.
You're not supposed to say the quiet part out loud, Elton. We're a resource. We don't vote multiple times. We're a resource.
We make recommendations. They have to judge their God, guns, and environment.
Share who we're voting for, you know, they can decide.
Annalisa, how about you? What are your issues?
I mean, my top priority is reelecting President Joe Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris, flipping the House, holding the Senate, and electing Democrats up and down the ballot. I'm a 2020 DNC elected Biden delegate. I'm an elected executive board member to the California Democratic Party. I love canvassing. That's like literally one of my favorite things to do. And we have like the top like red to blue seats in California where we can win the House back right here in California. So that is my priority, is getting this one and done and running up the score for Democrats. Like, and all the other issues really stem from that, like protecting the right to abortion, not having like book bans, abortion bans, LGBTQI plus trans bans. Like, we just have to elect a ton of good Democrats up and down the ballot. And that is my personal priority. And you're like, what is your passion? I remember in 2020 when I met you at the Women's March, like that was the first time we met. I was marching the Women's March. My sign said, what's your like, why are you a Passionista? It's electing Democrats. So I'm going to go with that. And that's what I'm fighting for.
Excellent. Love it. Bonnie, how about you?
Well, I'm happy to follow Annalisa because then I can say everything she said. But the elephant in the room here is the risk to our democracy. And that just has to be my number one priority, is to making sure that the correct team, Annalisa's team, is sent to the White House in Washington, D.C. I should have worn my t-shirt.
Me too.
I always have such good ideas. So that's number one. And that's number one because I care so much about all of the other issues. Without the guidance and the protections of the right person in the White House, we're not going to be able to accomplish anything at all. And I have a strong need to protect all of my students, my LGBT students, do things. I'm a union leader, a union activist, and do things that are best for working families. I've been phone banking a lot for my very favorite US Senate candidate. And I think those of us in this area know him very well. And I've had the opportunity to talk to a lot of women who are so concerned about the economy and healthcare. They're saying to me, how can they afford to go to the doctors when they're really sick, when they don't have enough money to do that and still provide for their families? So all of the things that are important, I think, really hinge on who we elect this time, starting at the very top, but going all the way down the ballot. It's important to vote the down ballot. And I just thank you for an opportunity for us to get together and talk about these issues that are so very important to us.
Great.
It is absolutely our pleasure. Joyce, how about you?
You know, I'm scared. I'm really scared, as Bonnie's saying. It's a difficult time. I think back to when I went to my first Women's March. We'd been there. We did that. Why are we having to do this all over again? Why is this an issue? And I also think back to a class I had called civics. And I think about that they taught me in 8th grade that the most outstanding quality you could have would be to be an informed citizen. And so I try to talk to young people, and I'm passionate. I feel like they don't get civics anymore. They don't understand what voting and voting rights and what a right it is in this country. And so I think there needs to be more education. But number one, I agree with Annalisa. Of course, we've got to get our people elected, but at the same time, we need to encourage and share our knowledge and mentor and be there to get more people out to vote and more young people to understand what voting rights are all about. And if we could do that and make them, instead of being apathetic and my vote doesn't count and I'm not going to do that, just get them passionate about something or involved. And then I think the other challenge is how we campaign to turn out the vote, because there are no more landlines. And we used to phone bank and phone bank and phone bank with landlines. Now we're using messages for leaving messages, we're texting, we're doing all creative kind of phone banking, different electronically. But just in the way you turn out the vote is so different now that people don't want flyers anymore in their mailbox. That, you know, they throw them away. I've done so much walking and talking, and you walk into an apartment building and you see all the ads in the trash. So what can we do to get people knowledgeable about the candidates? How do we give them public information so they can choose and get it to them disseminated in the right way? And so I go back to, I'm a little afraid. And I'm also concerned about the ballots and about voting, because before Alex Padilla was elected state senator, this last election in 2020 was really the safest election that's ever happened and more accurate. And all the Secretary of States would tell you that, and all the people. And I'm already worried about what's happened nationwide to in elections, trying to throw the elections and challenge them again. So those cause me some sleepless nights, but you got to keep going. Like with Annalisa's passion, we've got to get everybody elected.
Carolyn, what do you want to say about this topic?
Oh,
Favorite
how much
topic?
time do you have? No, I mean, like Joyce said, I think one of the things we've got to think about, and absolutely getting everyone elected is crucial. And I think I'll get to the end, but the issue, why is it crucial? Well, two of the issues I've been passionate about my whole life are universal health care and women's rights. And I can say universal health care, I got interested back in college, done this work. I was healthcare analyst before I became an attorney. I volunteer and I'm on the board for a nonprofit federally qualified healthcare clinic in the Valley. We provide medical, dental, mental health, and vision services to 26,000 of our low to no income neighbors, including those who are unhoused. I mean, healthcare is a human right. I absolutely think that, and I know we can do a lot more than we do in this country. I could give a whole lecture about how we're set up in the funding and how it works and all that, but I will spare you. I'm also born in 62, and I'm born at a time when with both birth control and abortion were not legal throughout this country. And I remember Roe. I mean, I wasn't old enough to remember Griswold, right? Griswold is one that really brings Connecticut, where a provider is in trouble for counseling a married couple about birth control. Warren Court, my favorite court to read in law school. And then you think about Roe. And I remember my aunts who were, my mom talking about what that meant. But I also know by being here and seeing how fragile these rights are, that they came in, they can be taken away. And it is so crucial. I'm on the board for the National Women's Political Caucus, San Fernando Valley chapter. I'm also on the nominating committee for Los Angeles County. And they're like an OG group, women's rights groups that we promote, pro-choice, pro-ERA women candidates. And could not be more important now. I think of my niece and my nieces and my nephews and what it means for them. I mean, I just personally, to tell you what a national abortion ban can mean, I had to go through a procedure where I needed, is it methylcrystal? And I talked to my gynecologist, said, hey, is this one of the drugs they want to ban? He said, yes. So what would that have meant to me? I would have had to go to the hospital to have the procedure. It would have put me in greater medical danger. It's going to raise our healthcare costs. I don't think people understand. So Joyce is right. It's scary. I was just listening to a podcast the other day, And they're talking about how we're in these very narrow media silos. And I don't know if everyone knows now that Facebook is actually now going to not recommend political content anymore, both on Instagram, Threads, Facebook. And that means what voices will be magnified? The voices of people who aren't political channels and extreme. But we have the ability to counterbalance that. We really do. And this is something I think at least I'm talking to people who aren't members of clubs now that we're back in person and say, they're deeply worried in our district about what's happening. And they think, but I don't have time to volunteer. And I've got kids and I'm working. You know what? You have groups of people and you can reach out to them and you can be that voice and bring the message home to make it very personal. But what is at stake? Not democracy. No, what does it mean for you? Yes, what does it mean if democracy goes away? What about your right to vote? What about your right to bodily autonomy? What about these rights, the rights to marry who you love? This is what is at stake. And I mean, I really believe in that if we push the people we know, I'm doing it right now, my nieces, my nephews, anyone I know, anyone I listen to, somebody at the Sherman Oaks Homeowners Association, I will talk to them and tell them, yes, you do have the power to do something to get that message out. We can get the votes out. We can do this. We are the majority. We can win. And I think it's up to all of us to motivate everyone, to really let them know, yes, this is what we can do. And we are going to win this. And we all do it. Think the old Fabergé shampoo commercial, if anyone's old to remember it. I told 2 friends and they told 2 friends and so on and so on. It's doable. And we should use that fear to motivate us to get out there. And I know I should get off my soapbox now. It's really, I think the sad thing is like a war and they can afford to lose a battle and we can't, right? This is really for what your kids read, for teachers to be able to teach. My sister's a teacher, it's like, it really is all these issues. It's all on the line. And that's so important. And I know people say, oh, but Biden's old and he doesn't, I'm old. I forget names all the time, but I'm totally competent and I do a great job. And I mean, you got a choice. And I think we have a really good choice and just getting out there and helping people and yeah, being scared, but knowing that should motivate us. Thank you.
Excellent. And Geraldine, your turn.
Oh boy, there's so many things. As a former president of California now and the elected National Nail Board and sitting on the Reproductive Justice Committee, of course, reproductive freedom is one of the most important things to me because I'm long over the fact of probably needing facilities, but the underlying thing to it is that it's who's in control of your body. That's what they don't talk about with it. It's supposedly saving these unborn folks and saying that they're for life. If you want to be for life, how about taking care of all the people that are already here, and especially like the newborn children? I mean, I could go on and on about this, but all the 6 core issues of now, obviously, to me, coming from a peace lens, sees all of our issues connected, being it taking care of Mother Earth, whatever. They're all connected, and it all gets down to saving our democracy, as Bonnie, really, really mentioned so well. And that's really what's at stake this year. So obviously supporting Biden and Harris is a number one thing on the to-do list. And I'm glad to see that Kamala is doing a tour on reproductive freedom, because that's going to span, the whole thing. And you're absolutely right, Joyce. Women are 51% of the population. Why we aren't all together is still a question that puzzles my mind, how women can vote against their own interest is still a puzzlement, but it's also a reality that we're having to deal with. And talking about being scared twice, turning into Gilead
Yeah.
totally scares the holy be-dickens out of me, and then totally taking away your human, all of your rights, especially when it comes to women. Poor Elton having to sit and listen to six women, with all the women's issues. But it coupled with one of the six priorities now is economic, which is labor. And that's why we're extremely supportive of labor. And I'm a union member myself with SAG-AFTRA, which brings me to another scary issue, which has kind of risen into my awareness, is the AI issue.
Yeah.
That's an important issue and could really do, or has the potential to do, an extreme amount of damage in this election. That is the part that's scary to me with this election. But the more and more people that we're able to talk with, and I think the most convincing argument is when we talk to people that we actually know, and you can explain to them why you are supporting certain electives and so on, is why, and to make people aware of what's at stake, in this, the better off we are to make sure that they actually fill out that ballot and get it back in. So that's another thing in terms of changes, in terms of the election that changed last go around, was the mail by ballot. And actually, your get out the vote is not 4 days prior to March 5th. It started February 5th when the ballots hit the homes. So it's really changed that whole dynamic in terms of how do we get people educated and get them to vote. So, and of course, listening to everyone, like Elton has mentioned, I think is an important part of getting the work done, to really understand which issues people are impacted the most with, and to be able to come up with solutions and get them pointed in the right direction to elect the people that actually will deal with those issues and be able to hit the ground running and do something positive in regards to solving them. So it's a huge agenda at this point. But it's like people have said, and it seems like every time we say it's the most important election, but this one really is, in terms of the future of where we're going, in terms of retaining our rights and democracy.
If I can throw one thing in here, because I haven't heard it mentioned, but not only is women's healthcare and body autonomy important to me, but so is transgender kids' healthcare.
Yeah.
I don't care what bathroom they use. It makes no difference to me. And the fact that in Florida in particular, they're trying to limit transgender kids from getting the healthcare that they need, that I think is atrocious. And I know we're all afraid that the country is going to end up looking like Florida, but even DeSantis has backed down since he's realized on a national level how unpopular his thoughts and his policies are. So I'm very optimistic that transgender healthcare is one thing that is really on my radar as well. So I just wanted to throw that in.
I'm glad you did. And go ahead, Elton.
To help you close out the evening, thank you for letting us be here in a timely opportunity. As of Saturday, only 3% of the statewide vote people have returned ballots. We know 80% of the ballots will be voted in the next 2 weeks. But even with that 80% of the people returning their ballots, that will only be about 40% of the voting eligible populations. So you've heard our stories. Hopefully our pastors will help get out the vote. And the timing of this broadcast couldn't be better. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's our pleasure, and that's perfect because the last thing we wanted to do is give you all a minute to each say whatever you wanted to say as your final goodbye to everybody and a reminder to vote leading up to March 5th to get your mail-in ballots or go into the ballot box on the 5th. So if everybody could just take a minute and give your final thoughts, we appreciate it. So Annalisa, you're in the upper left-hand corner, so go for it.
Thank you so much for having us tonight. I just want to say, you know, like one of my spirit guides is Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi, and her philosophy is you don't agonize, you organize. And so that's how we're going to win, is we're going to organize, we're going to knock doors, we're going to text, we're going to phone bank, we're going to postcard, we're going to canvas, we're going to use our social media networks, and we're going to get out the vote, and we're going to run up the score, and we're going to win. I'm also a big subscriber to Simon Rosenberg's Hopium. Like, I'd much rather be us than them. We have a great president. We have an awesome Vice President Kamala Harris. We have so many great candidates up and down the ballot. And like, we're going to use that motivation, and we're going to build the blue wave. It's all of us together. That's how we win. And so I would be honored to ask for your vote for myself and the entire Experience Labor Solidarity slate, because like, let's go get them. Thank you.
Excellent. Bonnie.
I'm on the Voter Protection Committee of the Los Angeles County Democratic Central Committee. And I've had the opportunity to not only staff the election hotlines, there is a hotline that will be opened up by the California Democratic Party. It's nonpartisan. We will help anyone who is having a voting issue. That phone number will be going out soon. And it's important that people know that voting centers, certainly you're welcome to return your ballot to the U.S. Post Office or to a ballot box in most public libraries and other places. But if you like to go in person, or if you have an issue and you need to go in person, voting centers begin opening up on February 24th, and even more of them open up on March 2nd, and they stay open through the election. And if you have a problem voting, please don't hesitate to call the helpline. If you need the location of a voting center, visit lavote.gov. So that's my committee work. And thank you again, both of you, for letting us have this discussion.
Absolutely our pleasure. Thank you. Elton, did you say what you wanted to say, or did you have anything else?
I did.
Good. Joyce.
Well, Amy and Nancy, I can't thank you enough. This has been glorious. First of all, to the voters, the Democratic voters in Assembly District 44, you now have a great idea of who the heck are those 7 people? Who are those people on that ballot? This has never happened before that I know of, and I've run many times. This has brought our slate, the Labor Solidarity Slate, together as a group. We're working very hard to be elected and to represent you, and we'd be honored to have your vote. And by doing it together, I think you can hear each one of us have our own unique abilities, but overall electing Democrats, electing Biden from the very top and Kamala Harris all the way through to our new state senator, hopefully. You know, this is important. And we'll be there to listen to vote on Burbank City Council or Glendale City Council or school board. Across the board, we're there. We want to encourage people to show up to vote and understand that they have a role in this, and we're here to assist them. So thank you for this marvelous opportunity. Really honored.
Our pleasure. We're honored to have all of you. Thank you. Carolyn.
Well, again, Amy and Nancy, thank you so much for having us tonight. And to anybody who is watching, thank you for tuning in. And I want to ask you, please vote, and make sure that you tell everyone you know why it's important to vote and have them vote. I mean, really, and I mean that I don't care what party you're a member of or anything. I mean, really, everyone. That's what makes it great, is that we all get out there and vote. And I do ask you to vote for our whole slate. We are here. You see us around in the community, and you will see us around in the community. Reach out to us. You can reach out to us through Facebook. You'll see us at meetings, at different groups we're members of, and absolutely we want to hear from everyone. Your voices are really, really important, and we are your representatives to the party. So absolutely do not hesitate. You see me at Gelson's, talk to me. I'll talk forever. Morning. But anyway, thank you for everyone, and thank you again, and please vote for our wonderful slate.
Jana.
For those of us who live in the 44th Assembly District, we know that there's a lot of turmoil right now, in the sense that, you know, Adam Schiff is my congressperson. He's running for Senate. My assemblywoman is running for his seat in Congress. The mayor of my city is running for her assembly seat. So there's a lot of movement going on, a lot of shift changes. And even though the 7 of us have not been in the same district until redistricting, we've all been doing this for a long time. And we're very conscious of the experience we bring. There's one thing about being passionate about something, and there's another thing that has the skills to know how to turn that passion into actual progress. And I have so much respect for the other 6 members of this slate. We are smart, we are hardworking, we work extremely well together, even though we don't agree on everything. It's just that base of respect that comes with every interaction that we have is something that this political environment is desperately in need of. So yes, we've been around a lot for a long time. We're not new at this, which is a good thing. But I just keep thinking of another quote from Nancy Pelosi is that I'm here to do a job, not keep a job. And we are all here to do a job, and we would be very honored if we received your vote on March 5th or before then. I've already dropped mine in the Dropbox, but I just want to say this is a phenomenal team, and really with all the upheaval everywhere else, you could not do better than to have this group be your advocate at the state level or at the county level.
Fantastic. And Geraldine.
Okay, I ditto what everyone else has said. The one thing that I don't think we mentioned was that we actually have a website.
Yeah.
It's www.ad44 LA County Committee. You can go on that, click on our faces, and actually bring up our bios and a list of endorsements that I should say we are now proud to have 33 major endorsements for the entire slate. So, and I agree with Shauna that within our group that we have great respect for one another, and we all work in kind of different little different things of it, but it's all needs to come together. The other thing I don't think we mentioned was on the ballot that you have to vote twice for the state Senate seat.
US Senate.
That there's 3 3 major candidates going for that position. But remember that you have to vote twice on that. That can be confusing to a lot of folks. So
not according to Elton, who has voted 3 times. But
Can you just explain
More.
quickly
Anyway.
why that is, so people really understand it, why they have to vote twice?
yeah,
I can
thank
explain
you, Amy and Nancy, and I should be part of your organization.
We would
You have
love
to vote, you have to vote
Yes.
twice. You have to vote
Yeah.
twice for the US Senate seat. Once for the unexpired term because Dianne Feinstein passed away, and that position still remains open from November to January. That's for the short term. Then you vote for the full term, the 6-year term. So that's why this time you have to vote twice for the US Senator of your choice.
But you can
Although-
vote for the same person twice.
Right.
Yeah.
Our website is
And then just to repeat our website, it's AD44 LA County Committee.org.
Yes.
Or
Also, there's a dash in there, www.ad44lacounty-committee.org. But I think if you just type in the words AD44 LA County Committee, we'll come up.
Yeah.
We'll
It-
And we're
put that
very
in the
well
chat.
endorsed too, I might add. We're endorsed, for example, by the chair of the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors, Lindsay Horvath. We're endorsed by Congressmember Brad Sherman. We're endorsed by the vice chair of the California Democratic Party, Betty Yee, DNC member Carolyn Fowler, a lot of electeds, party leaders, grassroots activists, organists, and we're so proud to be endorsed by Amy and Nancy Harrington, the co-founders of the Passionistas project, because you guys are rock stars, and we're so happy to be here with you.
And I'm really looking forward to becoming a member of your sisterhood.
Excellent. We would love for you to all join us. That would be fabulous. We can't thank you enough for all of the hard work that you all do on our behalf and for being here tonight. If you are in Assembly District 44, please vote for this experienced Labor Solidarity Slate, these amazing people. And wherever you are, just vote.
Yes.
Thank you all and have a wonderful night.
And good luck to you all. We can't wait to celebrate your win with you.
Thank you, and thank you for your endorsement.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Turn the page to find Alton and me.
You know it.
3 and 4.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.